everyone, and welcome to the Farmer's Guardian podcast. This is a 24 hours in farming special, and I'm with two of this year's ambassadors, Frank Carr and Amy Wilkinson. We're going to be talking all about farming, the current state of the industry, and of course the industry's biggest digital event, Farm 24. Frank, Amy, it's nice to see you both.
And yourself.
We are sat in the middle of the Yorkshire Dales National Park at your farm, Frank. I think first, obviously I think people will know you both because of social media, but let's talk about the farm history, from both your families. Should we start with you, Frank, given this is your land?
Yeah, so I am a fourth generation farmer. We've been here since 1927. Every family is built on the size, I suppose, of Leagate and done more and more. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming to do as well. Yeah,
there's a lot of history though, isn't there? Can we talk a bit about that lovely story about your grandma?
Yeah. So one of the main reasons that that Leagate is the size it is and can hold the amount of livestock it is now is because of my grandma Florence. When I only found this out actually the other day. So my grandma and granddad met when my grandma was walking cows with her family up from a village close here, Rilston, to some land further up, and they were walking past this farm, and that's how my grandma actually met my granddad.
Good love story, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously things progressed from there, and my granddad and grandma got married, and then with the marriage came a dowry at the time, and that actually, this is one of the fields that we're in now, that helped buy, and then it allowed a consistent water supply to the main body of the farm, so we could keep more livestock at the farm.
What we're sat on, right?
What we're sat on is an old hydram. This used to be one of the old water supplies to the farm, yeah.
It's not the comfiest of things, but
no.
Can't complain. It's very pretty around here.
Very pretty, just very uncomfortable. What about you, Amy?
So very different. I'm from basically near a Southport. It is very high up here. I'm used to sea level and below.
Yeah.
But no, so we are a beef and arable farm, and we farm about 600 head of cattle and probably 800 acres of arable. It's mainly me and my dad, but my granddad and grandma moved to the farm in the 1960s, and basically it was a bog, and they drained it all and made it is what it is today, basically building on previous generations, like Frank said. So.
Yeah, and let's talk about that difference in farming as well, because obviously, you're both kind of, livestock farmers, but you farm in very different ways. So, you talk to me about your farming system, because, your cattle obviously graze in a very different way.
Yeah, so where we are, it is a very it's a veg and arable area. There isn't many livestock farmers, so we are predominantly an arable farm, but a lot of what we produce now goes into feeding the cattle, because the cattle is the most profitable side of the business. But the reason we are able to keep the cattle on really is because we graze on the salt marshes at Southport. So in May we'll turn them all out, and we'll literally not see them again until October, which we just have to hope they're happy and healthy and living their best life. They're all dairy crosses, because we did used to have a suckler herd, but we found that trying to catch Limmy sucklers after 6 months outside on their own.
You've got a few sucklers now, I thought.
Oh yeah, we're building on that. Slight issue last year. We had a bull who was committed, and he went for a swim. And so now we have a few suckler cows as well. Thanks, Frank.
Went for a swim.
He did. He was very committed. Could give it to the mud. So yeah.
Talk to me about kind of. We'll come to the way you farm in a minute, Frank, but in terms of, flavour of the meat because of the way that you graze.
Yeah, so it is meant to have we built on it. I started selling beef boxes because I saw the upsurge of kind of salt marsh lamb.
Yeah.
I started kind of selling beef boxes because of that, and marketing it because we do something slightly different. There is a nice flavour, but I always say I'm the wrong person to ask because I've been eating it my entire life.
Yeah.
But it's just a brilliant way to kind of graze, because we don't have to worry about kind of parasites, worms, all that kind of stuff, because it is salt water.
Yeah.
We do just have to kind of teach them about the cattle have to learn about the tide, basically. So they'll have to learn that themselves, but they get the hang of it pretty quickly. But it's just lovely out there. It's a bit like here. There's no one around for miles. It is beautiful. So I love it. That's my favourite side of the business, really, is the cattle side.
Yeah.
But
And is it's all beef boxes, is it? You don't sell
Oh
anywhere
no,
else?
so we sell quite a lot to Morrison's supermarkets,
Yeah.
and then the beef boxes has built up slowly. We do probably one a week to a butcher, and then one a month in boxes. We could probably do more, but I don't know if Frank's found it this year with beef prices being the way they are.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to decide what you want to do.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Frank? Well, you know, we can see kind of this incredible area that you farm. It's obviously very extensive. Talk to me a bit about, you know, your farming systems here and the land.
Yeah, so the majority of our farm is classified as moorland, so it's a lot of rough grazing. We're about 1,200 feet above sea level at the main farm, and then we go up to about 1,800 feet at our highest point. So yeah, like you say, it is a lot of extensive pasture grazing.
Yeah.
And we also sell to niche butchers. We're predominantly native breed cattle.
Yeah.
With a few, we've got a lot of crosses, shorthorns, longhorns, Herefords, Highlands, Irish Moyle, British White, White Parks.
Any more?
Just name them.
Yeah, we've got a lot on, about 700 head of cattle in total, but that is a suckle herd of about 250 breeding cows, and then their young stock following, and then the finishes as well.
Yeah.
We also have a breeding herd of about 1,500 sheep, horned, predominantly Swaledale lamb, and then a few Dales breds, and we cross them with the mule. So there's always something to do, whether it's lambing time, calving time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an extensive system. All our lamb goes live weight through Gisborne auction, and then all our beef goes dead weight, either like to Morrison's, or we also deal with 4 niche butchers now, and then also a company that supplies direct to London markets.
Okay.
We try to do a lot of well finished, high marbled native breed beef. That's our USP here.
I think the next podcast that we do has to be some sort of tasting session.
Oh, we'd love it.
You're claiming that
We'd
you
love it.
can't answer it. I'll answer it for you guys.
Yeah.
We can have a battle of the boxes. You know, in terms of the boxes, do you think that kind of, you know, the way that you farm actually attracts your customers? Is that what people care about?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get questions.
Definitely. I think
it.
because the marshes are where they are in Southport, everyone knows the cattle are there.
Yeah.
And they like to know, especially since lockdown, I've found they want to know how the cattle are raised, why they're out there. But also it kind of gives them a traceability that they don't get through maybe the supermarket or something like that.
Yeah.
Because people can be literally walking past me down the road through Southport and spot me on the marshes and go, well, what are you doing, kind of thing.
Yeah. Opens up a conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, provenance is becoming more and more of
Yeah.
a thing. Definitely, people are interested in learning about it, seeing about it, and then seeing the end product. And often, a lot of my beef box customers are return customers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So obviously that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Even when prices have gone up, I've still had the same customers coming back.
Yeah.
Because they like it. So
let's talk about consumers and the public, because obviously farming has been in the spotlight, you know, since October, since the budget was announced. There's a lot of conversations going on social media. Do we sometimes think, as an industry, I think that people don't know what we're doing, they don't understand it. Do you think that's the case, or do you think that perhaps, you know, they do understand more than we kind of give them credit for, and it comes down to things like price or, you know, it's like time constraint, things like that?
I think it does, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, especially in the kind of economic situation we are at the minute, price does play a massive part. But there is also, I think, I keep saying kind of after lockdown, but there was a much more interest in agriculture through lockdown. I don't know if it was because more people were getting out into like the outdoors, just having to spend more time at home and wanting to feed their families kind of what they knew was good, especially because they couldn't go out and enjoy food that way. But there is definitely a disconnect. You can't argue that there isn't, but I don't know if it's as big as it's sometimes portrayed. I don't know if you agree or...
Yeah, well, obviously everything you see online, it's the quite extreme views just for the headlines kind of thing. So yeah, I'd agree that there isn't as much of a disconnect as they perhaps want you to believe, but there's definitely perhaps hiding a lot of realities to it all that isn't seen.
But I've got to say, the amount of people I've met who I did jury service before Christmas, and you mentioned that you're a farmer. It's always Clarkson's farm. I've got to say, since Clarkson's farm, it's all anyone wants to talk to me about. It's like not directly involved.
I don't know if you can see this, but I'm not Jeremy Clarkson. Can't explain too much because you've seen it on the TV. It's not just about food though, is it either? You know, you'll have loads of people walking across your land, and you know there'll be trails that people do and whatnot. It's not just about food, is it? It's about that kind of understanding the countryside.
Yes,
and if you're
very much so. Yeah.
Here, I mean, the sheep here coming down now.
Yeah. So we're on the limestone plateau above Malham, and Malham is a very tourist popular village. So you do get a lot of people every weekend, and you've just got to pray that they respect the countryside code and close gates, keep dogs on leads, and things like that, and picking up your litter and all things like that. And we're quite lucky; we don't see too many issues. Some of the worst culprits are your Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh yeah,
Duke of Edinburgh group.
If you're listening. Because you put quite a lot of things on about, you know, even balloons and things, don't you?
Yes,
and stuff like that. It's all part of this conversation, isn't it?
Yeah. We had a phone call once on the marshes that a cow had its head wrapped around wire. So it's not a simple trip. You have to walk out, and a cow was literally just chewing on a balloon, and one of the twitchers with his binoculars had spotted it. So we had to go, and they rang the RSP PCA and everything, complaining.
Right.
And we had to walk the man out to check, and it was just a cow with a balloon. So
they are inquisitive, and they'll always, like, if a balloon lands, they will always go to it and look at it, which obviously is very dangerous.
Just going back to the way that you guys farm, has anything changed over the years? I mean, in terms of how you farm, what you farm, breeds? Because you were dairy, weren't you, originally, like years and years and years ago? Yeah,
so in the 90s, when my dad and uncle farmed here together, they, like they say, they were dairy up until foot and mouth in 2001. And then, we changed tack from there, because being a dairy farm this high up in winter time, often needed at least 3 days milk storage, and then if it was a lot of snow, then even then it wasn't enough, and it couldn't be collected, kind of thing. So, and the milk quota was fairly low then. They changed tack to more. Well, the subsidies were paying for food production then, so we produced as much as we could, and then since then we've changed tack more and more and more, and now we are on this a lot more extensive native breed rearing system.
My dad only took over the business in 1997. He was 23 at the time. My granddad unfortunately died, and Dad took over the farm. So it always was, we grew a lot of stuff. So we grew a lot of potatoes as well, different things. And then as the years have progressed, we've kind of found what our strengths are. And that's how we've definitely built the beef side up a lot more. And like I said, we came kind of out of suckler herd into rearing from 2 week of age calves off 4 local dairy farms. And then we are maybe treading our toe back into the suckler herd department again. But no, I think it's definitely finding what works for each generation. And what your strengths are and where they lie, kind of thing. So,
What do you perceive as your biggest challenges? Obviously, a lot has gone on in the last 7 months. But even things, IHT aside, and the budget aside, and SFI aside, and all that sort of stuff. Disease threats, bluetongue, all those sorts of things. What are your biggest challenges?
We spoke on the way up here, didn't we? That we're obviously since Sunday we've been put in the bluetongue zone, which there's not a lot of information available. No,
so we're just in a low risk zone currently, and I think we're only in that because of previous confirmed cases from last year. So there's been anything this year. I don't quite understand why, but I don't think anyone really knows.
No one really knows, and no one has the answers.
But I'd say one of the biggest challenges is just clarity. We
In general.
long-term clarity for the industry, really.
Yeah,
so
trying to invest and know how to move forward at the minute is very, very difficult, I'd say.
You can't put a goal in place because you don't know where the target is.
Yeah. And we were just speaking briefly before about inheritance tax, because you're on a tenanted farm.
Yeah, so I think tenants have been quite quiet throughout this whole thing because we don't really understand how it will affect us specifically, but I'm maybe a bit different in the fact that I don't think it's a bad plan, and I do think the thresholds need to be changed, of course. They're too low at the moment, but just from personal experience, in 2021 the Church Commission came, who were our landlords at the time, sat us down and told us that we had been sold. Didn't tell us any information, didn't say who the new landlord was, just said, you've been sold, good luck. And it turns out it was quite a wealthy businessman who owns a lot of shops. Mr. Home and Bargains had bought us in 5,000 acres around us. Because obviously he's an older gentleman and he's
also disgusting.
He obviously needs to leave it to his kids, and you can't argue with him for that because the loophole was in place.
Yeah.
But it makes it very difficult as a tenant farmer to, like we said, know when to invest.
It's that uncertainty.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think it definitely differs for each farm, and everyone needs to talk to a professional advisor.
Yeah.
Not just listen to shouty people on the internet.
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah.
Listen to this podcast, guys.
Yeah.
So in terms of challenges for your farm and yourself, what do you see as obstacles?
Oh, well, obviously being a tenant in the current climate. Blue tongue, obviously, is a new one for us, but I know you. Is there a wayward sheep? There is a wayward sheep. But no, so...
We need to keep that in.
Yeah.
Lost its mother somewhere. His mum's down there behind us. So it might do a lot of shouting yet.
Oh, it's okay. Leave him be.
Yeah.
Challenges of women, hey?
It won't be a farm without
No.
an interruption from an animal.
So, I'm a big believer in that as long as you're good at your job, that it doesn't really matter what you've got going on in your pants. So I do feel like the role of the whole women in agriculture argument can be pushed a little bit too far. Don't get me wrong, there are but stereotypes in place. I'm an arable farm. I know my way around machinery.
Yeah.
I get asked to come and talk about it a little bit. But when I first started, if I turned up to bale and wrap someone's glass, they would stand there and watch me do it because they didn't think I was capable. But now I've got to the point where if anyone wants baling and wrapping doing, they ring me up.
Yeah.
It's kind of more you had to prove yourself. I don't know if it's still the same for a lot of young girls in agriculture, but when I went to my college, and when I was there was more girls on the agriculture course than there was lads. I don't think there is a lack of women in farming at all. I just feel like there are barriers in place, but there's also a lot of strong women who can just get on with it as well.
I think the conversation's changed as well a bit, hasn't it? Because it's not just about gender anymore, it's about inclusivity, and you've obviously been to the NFU
Developed conference,
thank you, recently, and you were talking about like diversity and inclusivity, so I think it's actually moved.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
So.
It's more being more diverse, definitely, and just inclusive generally, I think.
And actively promoting it as well.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but it stuck with me ever since, but this person said, if you can't see yourself somewhere, it just doesn't matter what industry it is, then you're never going to be able to see yourself in it anyway. And that's what we've got to do. And I think we are starting to do that a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Better. So I want to keep it quite positive, but what
got the right people here for that.
Stick a smile on your faces and just what do you feel about the current kind of state of the industry? Because there obviously is a lot going on, but there's also a lot that we can be doing, and being kind of in charge of you know, especially with you guys, you're in charge of your own kind of customer.
You know, there's a lot of challenges at the moment, but challenges and change equals opportunity.
Yeah.
I think so.
Inspirational.
Did you learn that at the development conference?
No, I didn't.
Clip him up. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of opportunity at the moment. There's a lot of people exiting the industry, so one of the main challenges for a lot of new entrants is obviously finance.
Yeah.
And it's not giving
It's
up,
back.
is that sheep? And I count myself very lucky because I'm in a privileged position of being a fourth generation farmer with an already successful business that I'm entering into, kind of thing. So I can't speak on behalf of first gen farmers, but I can definitely see that as being an issue, especially with livestock prices changed how they have done this past 6 months.
Yeah.
It's added another step for them to get over, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you know, you might have a different responsibility and you've got all that access to all of this, but you still have a responsibility to continue it and grow the business.
Yes, yeah. That's more personal pressure, I would say. Yeah, I was never forced to be a farmer. I was never pushed into it, kind of thing. I took a long time to come back to it, I suppose, from school and university and things like that. But now it's something I definitely want to do myself.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're passionate about it, nothing ever looks that bad. Because even the worst days, last year was horrendous for us on farm, but you still have like your highest points. And I think there is a massive sense more now, since maybe the budget and stuff, of the actual community around agriculture coming together a bit more, which it does make you feel a bit more positive about the industry, because it can be so isolating. But no, we're in a tough place at the minute, but you've just got to take your chances. And I think me and Dad are definitely looking to how we can move the business forward. And you just have to love it, I guess.
You just need the clarity for the goal.
Yeah. Farm 24.
Woo!
24 hours in farming. This is its 10th year this year, so it's quite a big one for us. We want to celebrate and we want to be able to actually showcase what this industry is all about. Why is it important for us to kind of, you know, continue things like Farm 24 and make sure that we can get those messages across?
It's that connection with the public, like we've been mentioning, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Showcase what we do and try and get more understanding of our industry, and so people can shop with more knowledge and put hopefully better food on their plates and benefit all around.
Get that connection there. I definitely think it's something like Farm 24 is a massive way for farmers to kind of show the best of what they do, and also probably advertise if they wanted to say, this is what I'm doing,
this is what I'm doing,
kind of thing. Come and check it out.
I think it's also nice because it's not exactly time away from the farm, but it's something that everybody can almost come together with, which you don't get that opportunity to kind of come together as an industry.
And
do something
you
so
need
positive.
to stress like how big Farm 24 can get, kind of thing. Like, it's probably the biggest online event. So everyone should really get involved, really, is my opinion.
And obviously farming is so broad, it's rare that you'd get everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, whether it be like an arable farmer, a
Tomato
livestock
grower
farmer,
near me in the greenhouses, or
all promoting it on the same day and putting out the good word.
Good word. Thank you very much for joining this 24 Hours in Farming special. A big thanks to Amy and Frank as well for joining me. I hope that you will all join us on August 7th for Farm 24. This year is the 10th year, and it's more important than ever to unite the industry and show the world what really goes on in farming.